Hey guys, coming on for the season finale of Scream Queens, Season 1, Episode 12, Dorcas, and Season 1, Episode 13, The Final Girls. And I was definitely looking forward to this finale. Scream Queens, as of late, has really been on a roll. I don't really know where it's come from, but just all of a sudden, this has become a much better show, and I was really thinking this was going to be a very good finale. I just wanted a good conclusion. That's all I wanted. I didn't need the most amazing thing ever. I didn't need that. I didn't need an amazing reveal as to who the killer is. I just wanted a good finale that concluded the show overall. Overall, while this finale I don't think was perfect, I think overall it was really great. I overall really did enjoy it. Were there plot holes this episode? Yes, that's for sure. There definitely were plot holes in this episode, but I thought it was overall a great finale. I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of things to love about both of these episodes. I understand people didn't really like the reveal. We'll get into the reveal of who the Red Devil is because we found out everything this episode. We know who the Red Devil is. We know what their connection is. We know what's going on with everything, and let's get into this episode, starting with the episode Dorcas, which was a very interesting episode because I'd say like half of it were all just flashbacks and montages, which worked very well, I have to say. I thought they did a very good job with basically using this episode to just give us all the exposition that we needed, and I thought it was definitely very well done here. So as we know, in last week's episode, basically Pete revealed to Grace that he'd been, into murders and that he was a murderer, and she has no idea what's going on. She at first thinks that he is the Red Devil, and, she's saying, why are you the Red Devil? Why are you doing this? And he says that he's not the Red Devil. He explains basically that after the first time he caught Boone killing someone, he actually realized that Boone's mission was the same as theirs, and that bring down the Kappas and the Chanels is important because of what Chanel did to him and everything that happened there. We find out that Chanel, by the way, this goes on for a solid 10 minutes, and I was not bored with this. I was actually really into this reveal. I thought they handled it very, very well here. But basically, we see that Chanel made him do all these ridiculous tasks for her. Something with like an Indian tribe. It made him dress up as one of them. Very strange, but, that's Chanel for you. She just wanted to embarrass him. So Grace asks him who he killed, and we find out specifically who he killed here. He killed Roger, and he claims that he had to, or else the Red Devil killers would have killed him. I love that he didn't know if it was Roger or Dodger. I thought that was really funny. But apparently we found out that Roger and Dodger actually didn't like each other. They actually had a lot more tougher of a life than we thought they did. And he then says that he killed Boone in order to stop the killing because Boone was the muscle, and he hoped to end the whole operation. Which Grace says is a terrible reason, and yeah, it's not a very good reason. It's really not. It's not a very strong reason as to why he's doing this, and I like that Grace wasn't trying to justify what he's doing. She's saying, look, I understand what you did, but that's no excuse. What you did was wrong, and I thought that was definitely very well handled here. So Pete is about to basically, she's ready to walk out. She's ready to walk out at him. She doesn't really want anything to do there. And, I like that, Grace called him out, so I thought that was definitely really great that we saw that. And basically, she basically decides to just end it with him. She says, look, I don't want to see you ever again. I know we had a thing. I can't believe I fell for you. I don't want to see you ever again. And he basically tells her to come back because he's going to tell her who the other killer is. And right when he's about to tell her, the Red Devil jumps out and murders him, obviously because the Red Devil does not want their identity to be known. So they murder Pete, and Pete is the final person to die on the show because none of the other characters die here. And yes, I know people were upset that they didn't kill all the characters that they thought they were going to. We'll get into that, but Grace attacks the Red Devil, tries to get their mask off, but the Red Devil pins her down, and a very, very good scene, I have to say. Definitely really great stuff here. And it works very well, because now we're on episode 12. We need to start seeing the momentum building, and we really did see that in this episode. I thought that was definitely really great, and I definitely love seeing that. So Pete's dead, he's gone, and I thought it was interesting. We just found out everything that was going on with him. Him working with Gigi and Boone. It really did make sense. I like that we know what's going on. I like that we found out that Pete did a lot of the killing, a lot more killing than we thought he did. He killed a lot of people, and I like that we found out that he did that, and basically that's what happens there. So then, of course, we get to Chanel, who, of course, wrote that missive last week all about the Chanels, and she complains about how unpopular she is on campus now, about her writing her takedown of Kappa, And I loved what her email said. I'm going to read what her email was because it's really funny. And this was just such a great monologue. Emma Roberts just does such a great job at having bitchy monologues. She does them very well. And the Chanel again this episode, again, I really did kind of feel bad for her. But at the same time, I mean, she's not really saying anything nice. So we see her missive and basically says, "Attention, all useless Kappa sluts. Congratulations if you're reading this. It means you've overcome the limitations of your tiny manatee brains and opened an email. Now, if you're asking yourself, Durr, what I'm confused, is Chanel talking to me? Am I a useless Kappa slut? Simply ask yourself the following question aloud. Is your name Chanel number 3, Chanel number 5, Chanel number 6, or Zayday Williams? If the answer to that is yes, then Thistle citations, the misses it for you." I thought that was just great. I thought it was really funny, and I loved every minute of that. Now, apparently, this was based on a true story. I guess there was a girl that wrote something very bad about her sorority, and everyone like hated her. And Chanel is pretty much the entire world against her. I mean, she's being compared to like Obama, and people who hate on Obama are saying she's worse than Obama. I thought that was definitely very interesting. So basically, she sent an email yelling at the other girls to not showing up to the pool, and the Red Devil forwarded to the entire school, obviously, because the Red Devil wanted to screw her over, and now everyone completely hates her and wants nothing to do with her. So basically, after all the backlash, Chanel decides that she has to kill herself. That she basically the only way to do this is to kill herself. And I really love the scene where there's all those people walking out that want nothing to do with her, and she says, "Look, I got my point across, so suck it." I thought that was really great. So she basically decides to kill herself, but not in the way you think she's gonna do it. She doesn't want to just shoot herself in the head, stab herself. She wants to go out like Cleopatra did. If you know how Cleopatra died, Cleopatra killed herself with a venomous snake, and that's what Chanel wants to do. And we get this scene that I actually really like seeing this year. I thought this was really great. Chanel's sobbing on her bed when Zayday checks on her. Chanel tells her that she's trying to kill herself with a venomous snake, and Zayday points out that the snake she ordered isn't actually venomous, and Chanel sadly says that she can't even kill herself right. And Zayday says that her life is going to get better and she can learn from this. And Zayday says that they need to join forces to catch the killer and rebuild Kappa. She wants to rebuild Kappa. She wants to catch the killer, and I like that she wants to work together. Though they were already kind of working together, it was nice to see that they actually did want to work together here. I thought that was really great, and I like the advice that Zayday says. She tells Chanel that she's not a bad person, and I thought that was really great. Just seeing, just seeing Zayday and Chanel after all they've been through, and especially since they're both presidents, it's really nice to see these two finally working together, putting their differences aside. I really love seeing that. One of the best parts of the show by far has been the bond that all these girls have had. So when the Red Devil walks in, Zayday kicks his weapon away, then throws a stool at him. Zayday unmasks him, and they know it's a guy, so you know this isn't really the Red Devil because we know the Red Devil is a girl. And basically, Zayday unmasks him, revealing this man that they don't recognize, and he's screaming that she made me do it. So this is clearly a imposter. It is impersonator, and the man in the Red Devil costume explains he's just a pizza guy who was wrapped in dynamite and told that if he didn't kill everyone, the bomb would detonate. So everyone runs from him as the bomb counts down to 0. Now, let me be fair. They hid in terrible places here. I mean, horrible places. Chanel number 3 hid behind a glass case. Like, what the hell do you think was going to happen? So by the time it explodes, all the Kappa sisters are at a safe distance. And this was a genuinely intense scene. I mean, I really thought someone was going to die here. I thought someone was going to end up, especially Chanel number 3, since she was right in her glass case. I thought she was just going to die. I honestly thought that was going to happen. And no, that didn't happen. They're completely okay. But this man has died, and it worked very well. It made things I really did like what we saw here. Just seeing that the Red Devil is operating things, is still trying to play them, and still trying to, kill some people, and is still getting out there is very interesting. I definitely like seeing that. So number 5 cries about the man who exploded, and I love how number 5 is saying, I keep losing people. I can't do this anymore. Number 5 probably number 5's funniest episode was both these episodes. She was so great. Abigail Breslin has been one of the biggest highlights of the show, and this is probably her funniest episode yet. She was so funny though this entire episode, and number 3 and Chanel tell her to stop wallowing. Chanel announces that she's come up with a plan to become popular again. That basically she wants to become popular again, get her reputation back, and win back Chad, which I didn't know they broke up, but apparently they broke up. So she's going to an apology tour starting with Melanie Dorcas. And of course, we know that Melanie Dorcas is alive. She's basically been living in solitude, and they haven't seen her since. And if you guys don't remember, Melanie Dorcas was basically the top of Kappa Kappa Tau before Chanel before what happened with Chanel, Melanie was like was queen bee of Kappa Kappa Tau, pretty much, just like Chanel is. The position that Chanel is in right now, that was Melanie. And I like that we saw more Melanie in this episode. We've been focusing on that a lot. We've really been building up something there, and it really feels like we got that necessary build up in this episode. We'll get into that. And then we get a very strange scene here. Grace talks to Wes and basically tells him that she doesn't trust Munch, and that she doesn't think that Munch should be trusted, and that she thinks that Munch is the killer. And I like Wes's advice to her in this episode with Pete. He didn't say I don't like this boy. He didn't say that, I wouldn't have gone with him. He said, I'm glad that you made your own choices. Like, he said that she made the right choice and that she didn't know. I like that he wasn't trying to put her down. I thought it was really great, and definitely like seeing that. And I like how we've been able to have these natural, serious scenes between Wes and Grace, and they haven't felt phoned in. I mean, they've really found a way to make them work, and this is a very good example of that. However, basically, she wants to find information, so Wes decides to distract Munch, and what he does is just insane. He basically she comes home, and there's Wes ready to seduce her, and he's wearing these like black boxer briefs, basically trying to get her to have sex with him. And while Wes distracting Munch with sex, which is very loud, I mean, Grace and Zayde literally say that they have to like pretend they're not there. They are snooping in her house for information on the Chanels. They don't want to find information about Munch because they really feel the Chanels are trying to cover up something. And what they find is very interesting. First of all, they find out a lot about all the Chanels, but mainly Hester. Hester has a very weird a very weird thing for school. I don't remember what it was called, but she has a very weird thing that says she went to like Sweet Valley High and that she lived on Sesame Street. It just doesn't seem true. They don't understand her transcript. That's what it was. Their transcript is very strange. They don't know what it's about, and they know that she clearly is hiding something, and they want to find out what it is. So the Chanels go to apologize to Melanie, and her house is completely closed up. Literally, the butler just says, "You want to see Melanie Dorcas?" Like, it was actually very creepy. I didn't know what was going to happen here. So number 5 leaves, saying that a guy just swiped her right on Tinder, and she has to go meet him. And very funny scene here. We eventually find out that this man is the lead singer of Nickelback, Chad Kroger. And I thought it was funny that despite that, she still wanted to be with him, because apparently this never happens to her before. Very funny stuff there. So Munch and Wes are in bed together after having sex, and Munch suspects him of only sleeping with her to find out more about the murders. But Wes actually enjoyed it. He tells her it was the best sex of his life, and he wants to have a relationship with her. Yeah, this is a bit strange, but I think it worked overall. I mean, Munch clearly has been flirting with him, and Munch says if it's going to happen, they have to figure out a way to make Grace go bye-bye, and she doesn't want to see Grace. She doesn't want anything to do with her, and she knows that Grace is obviously onto her. So that's why she wants to get rid of Grace, obviously. Now, they did do some good hints to try to prove that Munch is the killer, but you pretty much know that at this point that Munch is not the killer. It just doesn't seem possible that she should be the killer, and I didn't think she was going to be. So Chanel starts to apologize to Melanie, and I like what she's saying to her, that she's sorry about what she did. But then she accuses her of being the Red Devil, tries to kill her. Literally is just trying to stab her, but is missing every single time. It was so funny. I mean, she literally is trying to stab her, do whatever she can, and she's missing literally every single time. And it's so funny to watch. Zayde and Grace walk in, stop Chanel from killing Melanie, and Grace tells her that Hester is the real killer, and Chanel awkwardly apologizes to Melanie, and obviously it's very awkward because she thought that Melanie was the killer when she's clearly not. Hester is the killer. So they go back to the house, and they're thinking that Hester is going to be the killer. But then they find Hester. Now, this is very interesting. We do get a scene before of Hester roaming through Chanel's jewelry. She's trying on her jewelry. She's stealing stuff. I mean, you don't know what Hester's doing here, but she's clearly not with the Chanels, and they don't seem to know that. They don't seem to care that she's not with them. So they go back to the house, find Hester lying on the floor. They think that she's dead, but she opens her eyes and points at number 5, calling, and she has like a stiletto in her eye. I mean, it's pretty crazy. She literally put like a stiletto in her eye, and they think she's dead, but she opens her eyes, points at number 5, calling her Red Devil, and that's how part 1 ends. So pretty much she's now accused number 5, and it's very interesting how things are going to go in part 2. Now, let me just say, I know people were disappointed in part two. I actually really loved this episode, I have to say. I thought part two was really great because of how different it was from the other episodes of the season. This was basically how they all did it, how the killer did it, what happened, how it all worked out. I mean, we didn't know if Hester was the killer or not. We were pretty sure, but we didn't really know. And I thought they handled it very well here. They really wrapped up everyone very nicely. If you guys notice, we didn't get any Chad in this episode whatsoever, but that makes up for the next episode where we do get some Chad. Not a lot, but we do get some Chad, and I like seeing that. Um, but it felt a bit strange in part two because immediately we have a time jump to Cabot House doing a winter pledge. And the presidents are now Grace, Zayday, and Hester is treasurer. And she's not wearing her neck brace anymore. She has an eye patch from being impaled, and she's wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans rather than trying to emulate Chanel's fashion. Clearly, that's over. There's no more of them wearing dresses or anything like that. And Hester narrates that she's the last Chanel left, and it's because she got away with the plan that was a lifetime in the making. So right away we know Hester's the killer, and I thought they handled this very, very well. Mainly because I think Leah Michelle is just such a great actress, and that's why I think this was handled as well as it was. I mean, I understand people are saying, "Oh, Ryan Murphy just loves to work with Leah Michelle. That's why he wanted her to do this." Yes, it seemed obvious. I will definitely say that. I didn't think this was necessarily going to be a shocking reveal. I gotta tell you guys that. Like, going into this, I'm like, this really is probably not gonna be that shocking of a reveal. I just wanted a good ending. I wanted to see how the killer did. I wanted to see if they made notes of all the things that Hester did. Now, let me say, there are plot holes in this. Definitely, there are some plot holes. With what Hester did. With that, though, I really love finding out more about her background this episode because we didn't actually know that much about Hester if you really think about it. Basically, we talk about how Hester, not only did Gigi go crazy from raising her in Boone, she actually was in an asylum the entire time. And I love the scene where she's teaching them all about weapons and she's teaching them what each weapon does. I mean, clearly, that's what her focus is on. Literally, as young kids, she's teaching them a hammer crushes her soul, a knife kills you, things like that. I mean, it was a perfect example of dark humor, and they did that very well. It's something they've done well all season is a dark humor. I love that. So, basically, she says that she was the brains of the operation, kind of like how Pete put it, where there's a brains, then there's the one that does everything, and we find out that Gigi basically got the idea from the Red Devil from being in this diner, finding the Red Devil costume from Wallace, and basically murdered the Red Devil and took that costume, and they made it look red to be even more intimidating. So that's how that all turned out. That's what happened there, and from there they decided to start going after everyone, and we find out that Hester actually didn't do a lot of the killing, surprisingly. I mean, she orchestrated a lot of it, but she didn't do a lot of the killing, and that really does make a lot of sense, especially when we realize that Pete killed a lot of the people that died. It makes sense why Hester didn't, or just orchestrate it. Gigi, Boone, and Pete did most of the work. She only killed some people. Most of them were Gigi, Boone, and Pete, which I really like seeing. So basically, we then see after this that we see that they're with Melanie Dorcas, and we realize that they basically decided at first that they were going to kill her, but then they decided Hester decided to be more effective if they used, of course, burning her. If they used that toxin that burned her, basically, if they used the thing that burned her. And Boone doesn't want to do it, but Boone is the one that ends up doing it, and basically that's what happens with that. That Boone is the one that did all this, and in a flashback, and I like that they did this. I thought it was very well done. I can understand someone thinks it was a bit too on the nose, but I thought they handled it very well here. In a flashback, we see Hester meeting Grace and Zadie for the first time, and she tells them that they seem nice. And of course, she doesn't know that Grace is her sister. She doesn't realize that, and it's a really great scene because you don't realize that, and she tells them that they seem nice and that being nice is a good quality that could save your life one day. And we basically realized that she started going after the people that were not nice and the people that were vindictive and the people that were just heartless. That's why she went after the Chanels. That's why she went over after Chanel number 2. And I definitely like seeing that in this. I thought they did that very, very well. I thought everything they handled was very well done. Also, we found out that Hester did not have a neck brace, that it wasn't real, that it was completely fake, and that she just made up that personality, basically to just, get around the campus and find a way to get in there and kill people, which was very smart, and I thought everything she did was definitely very smart, that we saw that. So, basically, That's what happens there. Now, there are some plot holes here, though, because, of course, if she really wanted to save good people, why the hell did you kill Tiffany, Sam, and Jennifer? Why would you kill those three? Well, I think that Hester didn't, not all her kills went as planned, and maybe Boone, Gigi, and Pete just went a bit too far and killed some people that she didn't want them to kill. I could definitely see that being a possibility. Also, Boone was not gay. That was his way to cover things up because Gigi said they needed code names, something to cover themselves up. Boone used that he was gay, and Hester used that she had scoliosis, which I thought was very smart on their part. Um, so basically we realize yes, there are plot holes there, and I don't really think they need to answer that because it was never that essential of a death. Like, I'm never gonna look back in the show and be like, oh yeah, remember Jennifer's death, remember Tiffany's death. I'm not gonna remember that. I'm not gonna remember those deaths because they just weren't as memorable as some of the other deaths on the show. Yes, I like Sam as a character. Yes, I like Jennifer. Yes, I like Tiffany. Actually, I actually really did not like Tiffany. I did not really like her character at all. But besides that, they really did explain everything, and I thought they handled it very well. I know some people said we didn't really need it explained to us, but we needed to see how the killer thought and what they wanted to do, and this is a very good example of that. So then we go right back to the present, where Hester's blaming Chanel number 5, and we realize that she bludgeoned herself in the eye in order to rule out herself as a suspect and pin the blame on someone else. So she blames number 5, and Grace says that she and Zadie have discovered that Hester fabricated everything about her life, and Hester assures her that this doesn't mean she was the baby in the bathtub, and she even has actors show up to pretend to be her parents, and they are probably the most fake-looking family, but because of how much of idiots that Denise and her cops are, it makes sense why they believe this whole story. So on top of that, she's convinced the number 5's parents, she's convinced Chanel's number 5's parents to lie and say that Gigi dropped Chanel number 5 off of them when she was a kid, which obviously is not true. And they basically just wanted to do this because they hate her. They don't like their daughter. They don't want her to be there. They don't want anything to do with her. And the way that she was able to just pay them off like this is very interesting. I definitely thought that was one of the more interesting parts of this episode. So Denise arrests number 5 after Hester's accusation, but Hester tells that number 5 isn't exactly the only killer, and she needs to also arrest number 3. And that was a big thing. Why arrest number 3? Of course, there's a whole revelation that her father is Charles Manson, but Hester says that number 3 killed Tiffany, and Chanel says that's impossible because at the time when Tiffany was murdered, she was on the toilet, and in a flashback, we see that Hester gave number 3 laxatives on that day, and is basically, again, just trying to prove that she's a killer. Obviously, she's not, and next, Hester accused number 3 of killing Sam. Number 3 is upset by the accusation and firmly denies it, but Hester convinces that number 3 is a split personality disorder, and which is true. We do know she has it, so she very well could have done it, and she just doesn't remember. So Hester announced that she's not done with her accusations and that Denise also needs to arrest Chanel. And this is when things get very interesting. Hester says that she has proof Chanel bought a bunch of weapons 2 months ago. She shows security footage of the event. It's actually footage of her posing as Chanel and buying the weapons. And Chanel does not recognize the card. She's trying to prove her innocence, but because of the way Chanel's acting, because of the way she's done things, they just don't believe her. They think that it very well could be true. They think that, Hester's telling the truth, and they think Chanel is lying. So Denise arrests all 3 of the Chanels, leaving Hester to smile smugly. Now her plan has gone off perfectly, and basically Hester got away with the entire thing while the Chanels were arrested, and I love the way that scene was done. Just everything about it was great. I love that scene. Definitely very well handled, and I definitely like seeing it. I didn't expect the Chanels to be arrested. I can't believe some of them are still alive, but yeah, the Chanels are arrested, and that's what happens there. And Hester completely got away with the entire thing, which was very interesting. I'm surprised that she really did get away with a lot of what she did, but she did. She got away with pretty much everything, and that's what happens there. So then we see in the present day, we're back to the present, and Munch is narrating about how happy she is to have order restored now that the Chanels are gone. That things are just a lot more calm, and it's not as crazy. There's no more killer on the loose. She's even wrote a book about feminism, which was hilarious. I mean, her whole thing where she's just like, you know what, men are better. It was hilarious. I love that. Very funny stuff there, and it definitely was appropriate for Munch to read that book. And apparently her and Wes are together now. Okay, strange, but whatever. She narrates, though, that Chad and Denise continued their relationship. As we know, they had a little thing that here and there. Turns out they're actually in a relationship, and in a cutaway, we see Denise and Chad breaking up, and it's the funniest thing ever because half what Denise is saying are the lyrics to Waterfalls. Of course, yes, the songs that the song that the Kappa Kappa Tau back in the day listened to, don't go chasing waterfalls. When that girl said, oh, waterfalls is my jam, that song, I thought that was very funny the way they did that, and I definitely really love that. And Denise tells him that she's going to Quantico to join the FBI, and he doesn't want her to leave, and it's a very funny scene. And just seeing how quickly that Chad got over Chanel is very funny, and I definitely love seeing that. Chad's gonna be fine. He's probably gonna be fine. Chad has started moral for everyone who died in the killings, and pledges that from now on the Dicky Dollar Scholars will raise money for charity. And when a reporter asks him which charity, he doesn't understand out of nowhere what just happened there, but it was very, very funny, and I really enjoyed that. Again, like I said, it was kind of a thing that came out of nowhere, but that's why it was so funny, and I really enjoyed that scene. I mean, him just saying, look, I don't understand journalism, very funny stuff, and I really enjoyed that. So Munch approaches Hester while she's polishing a memorial for the victims of the killings, and the inscription written by Chad is like the funniest shit ever. It literally says, to our fellow students, we are super sorry that you are dead. We didn't know all of you that well, but some of you were hot. I always want to have sex with a deaf girl. And I thought that was hilarious. I love that, and that's totally something that Chad would say. So Munch talking about how great, how happy she is to see this plaque, and she knows that Hester is the killer because she saw the bathtub baby. She remembers the face, and Hester has that face. And she claims that she always recognized Hester as a baby girl from the bathtub because the imagery of exactly what that baby looked like is burned into her brain, just like Joe Theismann's injury. Two girls, one cup. I mean, I love that reference where she's saying, "Oh, that's implanted into my brain." And when Hester says that it worked out for the best for everyone, Munch agrees to keep quiet. At first, Hester's saying, oh, well, if you don't do this, then I'm going to tell everyone that you killed Steven. But Munch says that, she didn't. And, Munch basically agrees to keep quiet. And I do agree that Hester, that things really did turn out the best for everyone because eventually we find out what happened to Chanel's. We'll get into that. And basically, we then see at Cabot House, Grace shows Wes that she's turned Chanel's closet into a call center for people who find themselves giving birth and don't know what to do, and basically not to get themselves into this mess again. So Wes tells Grace that he wants to give her something. She thinks it's a car, and he says it's not, it's his trust. Very funny scene. And I really love Grace's episode. By the way, this was probably Grace's best episode. The first episode where I did not think she was a complete idiot and completely just a priss. I didn't see her in this episode as a priss. I actually really liked her here. So he trusts her now, and he's going to spend some time traveling with Munch so that Grace can grow up without him smothering her. And basically, they're together now for whatever reason. I don't know why, but hopefully they're gone from the show because let's face it, Wes and Munch are my two least favorite characters on the show. That still hasn't changed. I still don't love their characters. They have gotten better. I just don't really, I never really felt like they gelled into this show. Wes, I think, worked a bit better than Munch did, but Munch always felt weird. It always felt like that she was the killer when she wasn't, and definitely very interesting. So the Chanels have their trial, and it's so funny. I love this trial scene. They choose to represent themselves despite not knowing anything about the law, and Chanel addressed the judge as Judge Joe Brown and Judge Mathis, since she's not allowed personal items. Number 3 has done her hair to mimic earmuffs in the style of Princess Leia. Now they did this because Chanel number 3 is played by Carrie Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, which I thought was pretty clever. And the jury's going to declare them not guilty. But then Chanel goes on this whole tirade and everything, and that gets them to change it to guilty. So they change their decision, and Chanel announces that she's going to ignore this verdict. And when the judge says she can't ignore the verdict, she responds, what verdict? Which I thought was very funny, and that's totally something Chanel would do. And the judges use their real names and announces that they're sentenced to serve time in an insane asylum. And Chanel laughs, a reminder that number 5's real name is Libby. And number 3 actually seems excited about the sentencing, and basically they're taken to an asylum, and it's probably the greatest thing that could have happened to them here, because Chanel narrates about how they're actually fairly happy there. Number 3 apparently went full lesbian and is hooking up with one of the nurses. In a moment of intimacy, she tells her that she thinks she's ready to show her ears. That's something that we never saw. I want to see number 3's ears. That's something we haven't seen, and I definitely want to see that. Chanel and number 5 have finally become best friends, and they're all enjoying eating now that there are no boys to stay skinny for. Now, that I thought was a bit shallow, I will say that, but that just goes to their characters. They'll always be a bit shallow. That's why episode 4 never worked for me, because they're doing all this for guys anyway, so why do they care if guys flirt with them? I never really understood that. So Chanel is voted president of the Women of the Asylum. She raised a glass of prune toilet wine and calls for a toast to herself, and basically everything's going well there. But then we get to the ending. She gets in bed at the asylum, opens her eyes, see the Red Devil standing over her with a knife, and I thought that was a perfect ending. I know people thought that was really weird the way that ended, but I really loved it because it was perfect homage, to me at least, to I thought it was a very good homage to classic horror films. That's basically how this season ends. Supposedly, it might be how the series ends, because we don't know if the show has come back for a season 2. And overall, guys, I thought this was a fun finale. It was fun. It really wasn't amazing, I will say that. It's not the best episode the show has given us. It is not the past 2 episodes. It definitely was up there with the past 2 episodes. But I will admit there were some plot holes. There were some things that didn't really work out as well as they could have. But I thought for the most part this was a very fun finale. I, for the most part, really enjoyed it. And the show for me just got better and better as it went on. I've really started to enjoy it a lot more. I see it definitely a lot more as a fun show and less as what I saw of it as before, as an insulting show. I definitely have grown to love a lot more of the characters, especially Chanel. I loved her a lot more. The biggest thing now is what the hell is going to happen in season 2, because they said that they'd only have 4 characters for season 2. I don't think I can't see the Chanels not being a part of this show. I just can't see that. I can't see Scream Queens without the Chanels. You need those characters. So, if they're going to focus on 4 characters, I'm assuming the characters that we'll have are probably Grace, Chanel, forget the other Chanels. I'm assuming the other Chanels aren't going to be there because Emma Roberts just has to be on this. Grace, Chanel, Hester, and Zayday. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. That's going to be those 4. And maybe Wes will appear, things like that. I know they said they're bringing on 4 characters and then they'll go from there, but I will say that I do feel there were quite a few things that Ryan Murphy could have done with the show. I would have wanted some more killings in this show, definitely. I would want to see more of the Chanels die. I would have wanted to see Zayday die. They're just characters I felt should have died, and they didn't. And I'm surprised that they didn't kill them off. Denise is still alive. What the hell? How is Denise still alive? She's not even the main character, but she's alive. And Chad, I think, is still, I hope, is on next season. He was great, definitely. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. I can understand if you guys were a bit let down, but I thought it was very well handled. I thought the reveal of Hester being the killer was predictable, but did, in the end, make a lot of sense. What do you think of the season overall? And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the mid-season finale of Arrow, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.